today's watercolor tutorial, we're going to be doing this galaxy of Saguaro National Park in Arizona. Without further ado, let's get painting. For today's painting, I'm going to be using 6 colors. I've got Ivory Black, Rose Pink, Cadmium Yellow, Aqua Green, Prussian Blue, and Payne's Gray. I'm also going to be utilizing a sponge brush and a size 2 and size 6 round Princeton brush. And also for our stars, I'm using a white opaque paint. I've got white gouache on hand by Winsor & Newton. And my painting size here is a 5 by 7 inches. To get started on my painting, I'm going to use my sponge brush to just fully saturate across the page some water. We're going to be doing some wet and wet technique for this galaxy here. And so I just want to get this page nice and saturated with water. Okay, so from here on, I'm going to grab my yellow, just a little bit of yellow on my brush with my size 6 brush, and just the bottom area of this galaxy is gonna have a touch of yellow, and I'm just gonna lightly incorporate it in this bottom third here. And then next, I'm gonna grab a little bit of my rose pink and just do a few touches of it. And I just wanna buff it out using my brush. And I'm really utilizing the belly of my brush here to kind of move and glide this rose color across. Before I move on, I just want to relayer a couple touches of the yellow back in, and it'll kind of blend with the rose color to form a really vibrant, beautiful orange color. Okay. Now I'm just going to add a touch more rose in the transition between the galaxy and the rest of the sky. And from here on, I want to switch gears and start to use my Aqua Green. And I am trying to keep this center area at a diagonal slightly pointed towards the left corner of the page, slightly blank, because that's going to be my Milky Way highlight. So right now I'm just going to utilize these edges here. And to soften this transition, if any transitions are really harsh with your colors, it just means you need more water. Okay, so if you ever get any pooling happening with your galaxy, you can simply just use a little bit of paper towel and kind of blot it just slightly, just to get any excess water out. Okay, now I want to revisit some of my rose color and just use it to transition the in-between of the aqua green and the yellow or orange below. And it'll start to get this kind of purple effect. And now I'm just going to use a watered down size 6 brush just to help kind of incorporate those colors. And then I'm just going to bring down some of this rose color all the way down. And if needed, you can grab a little bit more. If any of this color gets muddy, it just means you need more rose versus blue. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of blend and buff out this color slightly. There we go. Okay, I'm just gonna add a touch of a little bit of yellow back into this bottom area here. All right, so next I want to grab some Prussian Blue, and this is just going to help build and deepen the galaxy. And I'm first going to apply it in the upper corner areas. And then from here, I just want to lightly blot using the side of my brush. And I'm going to just blot some of this Prussian Blue, just variegated really loosely up towards the sky here. And as I go, I'm kind of helping blend and buff out some of the Prussian Blue. And I want to add just a few bits of it overlapping on this purple that kind of formed from the rose pink and the aqua green. So I'm just adding a few touches of that Prussian Blue just to overlap. Okay. Next, I kind of just want to smooth out this transition more using the belly of my brush. And I want a few more touches of our aqua green. So I'm just going to take some aqua green and just blot just a few touches of this alongside the highlight of the Milky Way. And I'm using kind of this dot like blotting kind of texture with my hand. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little bit more Prussian Blue here in this highlight. And as needed, as the page starts to absorb some of the fluid in the water, you can add more water as needed if you see some areas are drying. If any areas are kind of blotting from excess water, you can take a paper towel and just blot it with the paper towel, and it'll kind of help smooth out any transitions as well with the different colors that are going on. Okay, next up, I want to grab some, what's the next blue here? Some Payne's Gray, that's the one. I use quite a lot of different blues sometimes, so blues or greens. So next, I'm just going to kind of build our galaxy here by incorporating a few touches in the upper corners here with some Payne's Gray. And I'm just kind of blotting this texture. I want this kind of variegated galaxy kind of look. In order to get that, I'm just tapping with my brush here. And I'm gonna go ahead and tap some of our Payne's Gray in the center of this Milky Way formation. And I'm just going to overlap a few touches of it on this aqua color that we laid out previously. Okay, so you can see that there's some movement happening with this galaxy. And it's slightly angled off towards the left. And from here, you can really build some of the colors. So I may want a few pops of this aqua green more so in this highlight. And if anything takes over a bit too much, again, that blotting technique with the paper towel can definitely help with that. Okay. I'm just going to take a touch more Payne's Gray on these edges here. And I'm going to take a little bit more light Prussian Blue, and I just want to blot just a bit more of this Prussian blue into this kind of purple pink transition. I'm gonna bring it down just a hair bit. And some of the highlight of kind of that sunset color may be popping through, which is totally fine. From here, I just want to get a little bit more pink. And again, I'm just allowing the side of my brush to kind of blot the surface of the paper. Okay, from here, I'm just going to grab some more water and just help soften this transition here with some more water. So I'm just taking my brush and just letting it kind of glide across these last couple inches here, just to help kind of buff out some of that paint. And then I just want to blot a little bit with my paper towel. You can even do some highlights too by blotting with your paper towel as well. Just gonna dab it just on a few kind of random areas here, just to add a pop of highlight. Okay, so next here, I'm gonna apply just a few touches of black, and I want my black to add some really good contrast to my galaxy here. Without the black, the stars may not pop as much as they should. So I'm just adding a few touches of black. And if needed, if your page is starting to dry on you and you don't see some of the colors quite bleeding, it just means you need to add some more water to your galaxy. And especially where the different transitions of colors meet, you want more water in those specific areas. Then I'm just going to take what black is left on my brush and just dab and blot some of this black here, just to make this Milky Way really pop. All right, so I am just going to do a few final touches, maybe relayer a bit here, and then I'm just gonna let this dry. And when we get back, we can add our Saguaro cacti and our stars as well. now that my galaxy is dry, I am now going to use my brush here, still carrying on with the size 6 brush, and I am just going to paint kind of an irregular, just jagged desert floor. So you just want some irregular kind of areas where it rises and then lowers a bit. Okay, just like that. And then from this jagged line here and below, I'm just gonna paint that area solid black. Really making sure I'm being mindful of having some texture on this desert surface here. Okay, so once you have this area painted black, we can now move on to our Saguaro cacti. And to begin, I'm going to paint about 3 or so. We'll see where this takes us, but I at least want 3 that I know. And I want to do one kind of larger one. And I start with just a straight line. And next to this straight line, I'm gonna do another one just parallel to it. And then I'm just going to round off the top here using really light pressure with my brush. And then I'm just gonna take my brush and fill this gap in with the black. And then from here, I want to add some arms to the cacti. So I'm just going to do a swooping kind of line, just like so. Do another one to kind of mirror it on the side. And then just give it kind of a rounded cap at the top and just fill that right on in. I'm going to do the same thing by adding another arm on this side. Just doing almost like a C curve. And then I'm going to do another parallel C curve and just round off the top again. Okay, I want to do a few more cacti, but I want my cacti in the background to be slightly smaller, just to have some variety. So I'm going to switch gears to my size 2 round Princeton brush. And I want to do just a couple more or so, and they're going to be slightly daintier. So I just actually am now using the width of the belly of my size 2 brush. And I'm using a good amount of pressure just to get this brush stroke here. And then I'm going to round off the top, just like that. I want to give it maybe a smaller arm off towards the side. And then maybe a longer one towards the right here. Making sure the tops are rounded. And then some of the sides of the cacti do have more than one arm. So maybe I'll do a second arm here off towards the left. That's slightly touching the smaller one. Okay, maybe I'll do another one here, off towards the side, almost to the edge of the painting. Now I'm just doing these swooping kind of C curves. Maybe this arm here is actually overlapping on the smaller one that I just laid out. Just playing around with some of the variegation of the cacti. I feel like I want a couple more in here, but I would say try to have an odd number, and that will just give a lot of balance by having an odd number of cacti versus even numbers. So I would say 3 to 5 is a really nice amount. Okay, so now I've done the center. Maybe this one's just going to be kind of simple, so just a couple of arms. And then maybe one right in here that's really small. Maybe that one's just got one arm. It's a young one. And so now I want to add maybe just a silhouette of a few kind of desert bushes, just like so, by using the tip of my brush. So I'm just using the tip of my brush here just to tap and make some texture of some plants on the desert floor. So it's just this like little subtle toothy texture. Okay, so for the last part of this painting, I want to add our stars, and I'm going to use just some plain white gouache paint here. And I'm using the brand Winsor Newton, but you can also use acrylic paint. And using really nice delicate pressure with my brush, I am going to just get a good amount of some of this white gouache and use the tip of my size 2 brush here. And I'm just going to add just a few really dainty dots in the sky. And I want to make sure and not do polka dots. So we want uneven kind of clusters scattered throughout the sky here. So we don't want them perfectly evenly spaced, because that's not how the stars are in nature. And I am just going to add stars all throughout the galaxy. And before I finish off this artwork with the rest of the stars, I want to show you how to do a shooting star. So using one of the darker areas of the painting as a contrast for the white shooting star, all I'm going to do is paint a crooked line, just like so. And at the bottom of this crooked line, I'm just going to thicken slightly the shooting star where it's heading towards the earth almost. And then I just gradually allow it to have kind of this swooping tail. I hope that you enjoyed this watercolor Saguaro cacti landscape with this gorgeous whimsical galaxy. I love all the pops of color with this particular galaxy. It's a really fun one. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss any further watercolor tutorials.